Welcome to In the Blue. I am your host, Dr. Cory Frogley, and I have an amazing guest today that a lot of our audience already knows, Dr. Mark Mosier. And we're excited to have him back on the show, and he's back by popular demand. You know, his blogs on our website and his experience not only in general dentistry and in the DSO world, but really in team building. A lot of our other doctors, not just dentists, his messages are resonating, and that's why we brought him back to you, because we've only touched the tip of the iceberg of the wealth that is Dr. Mark Mosier. And for those of you who are new to Mark Mosier, this is a beautiful human being. I mean, you can't say enough about Mark. He comes from an amazing family. He's got a chiropractic heritage. He built an incredible practice where he was able to keep team members for a long, long time because of his expertise in understanding the human psychology of what incentivizes team members to produce. And so by the end of the episode today, you're going to have his secrets of how he built his multi-million-dollar practice and built teams that were loyal to the practice, loyal to the vision, excited to show up to practice, and just built this incredible culture. And by the end of the show, he's going to share his most valuable tips. So you don't want to cut off early. You want to stick around for that last one. But Mark, I'm not even going to let you talk too much, because I know you're just going to say I'm too good to you. You're embarrassed, you're blushing, but you deserve every single thing I've said, from working with charities to feeding the hungry to helping the flood victims. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, but you have so much to share. Let's dive into your first topic, which is really how. Okay, I'll let you say something.
I just going to say, you're making this show about me. I appreciate that, Cory. You're just naturally, your natural ambiance is too kind.
No, appreciate it. It's easy when you get to work with people you love. So let's go into this whole incentivization, because I work with doctors every day, and they're like, please share with me a good bonus system. But a bonus system goes way beyond that, right? We're trying to incentivize production, like productive culture, and you've mastered that. So please share us your secrets on that.
Well, let me just start with a quick story. I was working with a company here a couple of years ago, and trying to get a bonus system established. And I'm gonna give you some ABCs of bonuses here in a second.
Perfect.
But one of the executives says we can't afford to pay bonuses, and I realized that I failed completely to educate them in a way that they understood is what a bonus is really about, how to design it correctly, how it should pay for itself, how it should incentivize. And so I took a step back and did that again. And finally, the owner of the company said, we're going to do this. And the net result was paid out $42,000 in bonuses that first year, but the net income increase was $1.6 million. And I think about that a lot, so you can't afford to pay bonuses. And the example I give is, if I was to walk into your office and it's at the end of the quarter and you've paid all the bills and you're done, you close the books, and I say, Cory, if I give you this dollar, will you give me a nickel? No strings attached. Well, of course you would.
Done.
So my point is, there's several things to consider here, but most critical, a correctly designed incentive program, people call them bonuses, should more than pay for itself. It should run itself. It should not be up to you, Dr. Froggy, do they get it? Did they not get it? Because then you have a problem. It should be on autopilot, run itself, do its own thing. And everybody involved in anything that it contributes to that goal, that bonus. So maybe it involves, most bonuses involve behavior changes. So if everybody clearly understands how they're being measured, that directly enforces and encourages behavior in the direction that you want it to go to get that bonus. So that's where companies like BlueIQ, I mean, as a consultant who has, I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands of different kinds of incentive plans, and they're all measured differently. And to have something like BlueIQ to measure and to, I like keep things really simple and easy to understand. And that's what I love about this product. Any assistant, any hygienist, any doctors are the smartest all, either can get on this and get it. They can see where they are now, where they need to be, where they've been, the trends. It's awesome. It's awesome. So let me give you a couple of quick examples here. But the goal of these incentive programs is almost like ownership mentality. You want people to own it. You know, I always joke that I don't know my practice, my team does. They're the ones telling me what to do. Well, that's what you want. You want them to feel like it's their practice. They're the ones down there in the evening finishing something up that they need to do, not on the clock. They're the ones calling patients for something, and they're not getting paid for it because they have this ownership mentality. It's their practice. They're proud of it. But it's the skin in the game thinking. You know, you always hear the term skin in the game. People are skin in the game, they try harder, but it's that mentality. There's a lot of things around that do design that, but these incentive programs should be designed correctly, where everybody understands how to be measured, understands, you know, what it is, where they are at any point in time. You know, so at the end of the month or quarter, in dentistry, people think monthly. And quick comment on incentives. The shorter the duration of time between the behavior and the incentive, the more accurate it is. Think about training your dogs. I'm not saying employees are dogs, but if you came home and your flower bed was dug up and it was 2 hours ago, they're not going to get it. You can go there, go home, and whatever. You're not going to get it. No. But if I put my hand on the stove and it burned, I get it pretty quickly. That's instant. So my point on exaggerating those topics is, for most hourly paid employees to go beyond a month, that's too long a time for them to connect the dots. I behave this way, I got this incentive. So the shorter the term of time, the better, the more effective it is. Now, there are some executives that really get it. They get the end of the year thing and the quarterly bonuses, they get that. But I have never seen a bonus plan that worked really well for dental assistants, for example. Most team members that went on a month. The quarterly things, I don't see them working as well. I see it okay for doctors, but not so much anyone else. Yeah. But, you know, so you really need to plan some of these things. And then there are some bonus plans that phase themselves out automatically. And by the time they do, the habits are established. Those are some of the best.
Yeah.
But one more tip on bonuses that's really important. You should never have double bonuses. For example, you got a hygienist who's getting paid on productivity, not just hourly. I have a lot of companies that are hourly based productivity, whichever's the highest. And they rarely hit the hourly because incentives work. So they should not also participate in maybe a production collection plan that the assistants are producing. You know, and if you're a DSO, doctors getting paid on a percentage of their collections, they shouldn't participate in something like that either, because it's a double bonus, and then all at once they're not paying for themselves.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense, and I totally agree with you on that. The team members bonus monthly. They need that immediate reward system in place. Where providers, there's going to be some ebbs and flows. Their bonuses are typically bigger. Their payroll's bigger. I like the quarterly because it smooths out the risk a little bit with some of those bigger dollars.
It does, and I also believe when you get to those higher levels, you can also have something called a true up. You know, so you have a best quarter ever, you pay out this huge bonus, and they have the worst quarter ever. Yeah. They have you know, there should be a true up in there, because you can go bankrupt if it's designed wrong.
So how do you expand on that just a little bit? How do you do that? How do you what's the system?
Well, this is only at the higher level, because it will not work with our employee.
I agree with that. This is for providers.
So it has to be understood. It's kind of like a base pay. You know, some docs come on and you're going to get paid $10,000 a month base. You understand? This is their base. Now, there is a difference between base and draw. Let's call it a draw. I meant to say it's like a draw. So $10,000 a month draw, but their collections are getting paid a third of their productivity, and let's say they only collected enough to get $9,000. Well, they're going to get that $10,000 on a draw, but they owed $1,000. The
Mm.
next month they collect enough to get $11,000. Well, that $1,000 gets paid back. That's a true up. That's a
Wow.
true up. Okay.
I haven't seen a
That's
bonus
what,
system
and
designed
that,
that way.
that,
That's
and that was an example of a draw salary. Now you can do that with bonuses too. Same philosophy.
yeah.
Same. And at a high level, it makes sense. I see, even if it's this monthly thing, and I'm okay with this, I see a plan where we have collection and production averaged together, and you have daily goals, and it's a monthly bonus. So I see, uh, I've seen team members, and you got to watch this. They have all these deposits coming in from insurance, some big deposits, and they do, and because these incentive programs work, they know exactly where they are by the penny. It's the last day of the month. They realize we're going to put in this $8,000 deposit, and it's not going to push us over. You either make it or you don't.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground. It's like
Yeah.
it's like being a little bit pregnant. Either you are or you aren't. There's no middle ground. So so they will take that and they'll put it off to the side
Yeah.
and they'll
Till next
deposit the
month.
next day or the next
Hmm.
next month, and that's against the rules. So those are the kind of things you got to watch a little bit.
Yeah.
But
No,
if they were,
that's the beautiful thing with BlueIQ, right? Because we're connecting into QuickBooks, which taps into the bank accounts. We can see when the deposits go in. There's no fudging those numbers. It's
yeah.
very visible to the owner. So I like that.
But the
That's a
key
great.
is correctly designed incentive plan. Part of that design is where it's black and white, and you want to take all the human decisions out of it,
I like that.
for them pay for itself.
Man, those are great insights. I just learned something new today. Thank you. I'm going to use that. I'm stealing that from Mark Mosier.
I could talk about this topic for a couple hours, Cory.
Well, we can because we have so many good things to get to. And you've got an interesting philosophy on sick days versus something else. And I'm excited to share with the audience
I
on
do.
this
I
topic.
do. And I'll be honest, I first learned about all this from my brilliant wife with a couple master's degrees and a lot of work experience
She
in
is brilliant
HR.
and beautiful,
You
by the
know,
way.
she said, well, let's talk about incentivizing. Let's incentivize people to be sick. Let's say, okay, you have I'm gonna make something up, 5 sick days a year.
Yeah,
If you don't use them, you lose them.
you'll lose them. Yeah,
Wow, that's
you
like
better
saying
you better be sick
vacation.
5 times.
Yeah, I mean that's the worst design. Especially, I see this at these big companies all the time. You have a big factory, and they think, oh, if I'm not there, somebody else will fill in. That may be true, but in dental offices where you may have two assistants and one hygienist, small office but normal office, one assistant doesn't show up, you lost 50% of your assisting. One hygienist, you lost 100% of your recare program. These are critical employees. I mean, I
Yeah.
did one of the best study clubs I did for a year was with consultant Bill Blatchford. We had 10, 12 high-end dentists, and we spoke every couple of weeks, and we talked a lot about this.
Mm.
And he believed like I did, but the bottom line is hire healthy people. I practiced for over 25 years, and I did not miss one sick day. I tried to stay healthy.
Wow.
Now, there are a couple times I probably shouldn't have been there, but I never came there where I was contagious. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't feel good, but I was never contagious. Now, if somebody is contagious and they have the flu, yes, we don't want them there. I get
Right.
that.
Right.
That's not that often.
Right.
5, 6 days a year. Everybody? No, that's not that often. Everybody gets a little stuffy noses, and there's some days they just want to be there. But it's a problem with the sick days is the abuse of it. We like to think everybody's honest, but there is a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
That's why you want to hire healthy people. I didn't hire smokers. And there's some legalities on that where we can discriminate. We're healthcare professionals. And I didn't want somebody to run outside all the time to get their nicotine fix. I didn't want them having nicotine withdrawals, not be in a good mood, So I was careful about that. But I hired healthy people. I wanted loyal people. And when you make them as part of your team, which is a whole nother discussion, how to do that, make them feel like part of the team, they don't want to be sick. They don't want to let everybody else down. That's the key. They don't want to let people down.
Yeah.
So something else, you can't ask all these questions now. My father, I remember back when it was legal to do this, he used to ask, my father and grandfather was dentists. He used to ask them, so when your son's sick or your little girl's sick, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You have a healthcare professional.
What's your plan?
Here. We need you here. And
Yeah.
I see so many times the husband can't get off work from the factory. No, they won't let that happen. But I'll take off work. Well,
Yeah.
that's backwards, I think. We have fewer employees than they do. But the point is, you got to have a plan for these. So, it's a discussion. It's hard to have legally now with the hiring
It
practices.
really is.
After
Yeah.
hired, after hire, you can tell them during the hiring practice. It's very important to be here. That goes, but after hired, say, please make arrangements now with
Yeah.
grandma, whoever, babysitters, whoever, because we can't have you miss work for
Well,
sick kids.
that's interesting because you talk a lot about the hiring the attitude of the individual, which is over skill set, and that seems backwards to some people because obviously we value skill and the delivery of that, but this ties right into that if they have the right attitude. So expand on that a little bit.
Well, hiring attitude, trade, skill is always the best choice because in the end, what do you have? I look long term, 5 years from now, even 6 months from now, to train an assistant with no experience at all and with the expectation. When you hire somebody, you need to give expectations in writing up front with clarity from the very beginning. You don't want to wait 6 months later and say, oh, yes, we also want you to do this, this, and this. Then you get resistance. In the
Mm.
beginning, they have an open mind. They say a mind was like a parachute. It works better when it's open. And they're doing great. And they're willing to do whatever you want. So you want somebody who's going to bring their own sunshine, who's going to leave their personal problems on the curb. Yeah, we care if their little girl broke their arm or something like that. But fighting with their spouse, their other personal problems, leave those. There's no room for that kind of stuff in a practice, and there's no room for gossip either.
Yeah.
That's another conversation. But we want employees who leave the problems on the doorstep, walk in, bring their own sunshine, make everybody feel good around them. You naturally gravitate to people that make you feel good about yourself, and
Yeah.
those are those people. They're
Absolutely.
coming in. Their attitudes are contagious, and it's worth catching. They're the
Mm.
ones you want. You want them to be leading your morning huddle, setting the stage for the day. So I will hire attitude over a skill all day long. Ideally, I like both. But with that said, maybe their skill isn't quite the way I want it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know docs that they've been burned on hiring skills, and they said it's harder to train them the way they want. And
Mm.
if you're truly, we talked about the Hawthorne effect last time. If you're truly appreciating them, they will stay with you. If you're valuing them, they'll stay with you. That's much more important than money, and it's worth putting the time in to train correctly.
Well, and so there's a lot of new docs on our show, and these docs that have been either just coming out of school or have been in practice a little bit a while, but they're looking for something better, a better way to practice. And it's often hard to put in new systems or new policies or new behavior into an existing team. It's like changing your tires with a car moving, but you connect this into frequency of training, like it's almost like we're starting over with the team. We're training. Like you don't just train in the beginning of a team member's time with you. Like training is an ongoing process, right?
Well, it never ends. Even for people like you and I, a dentist, you know, my grandfather used to say, if you're not doing something, you're doing something wrong. There's always something to do. There's always something to learn, and I will be learning until I'm in my grave. I mean, you always learn. That's one thing about dentistry, medicine. It changes. If you pick up a book from 50 years ago, a medical book, dental book, chiropractic book, read it, you'd laugh. And we read that as fact. I mean, put butter on burns, bleed people, all these wild things they used to do. We'd laugh.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think, what about 50 years from now?
yeah,
You know, I mean, the Bible's the only book that hasn't changed. All these medical books change rapidly.
yeah,
So, with train employees, first of all, you hire the right employee. And I'm going to talk about an employee who doesn't know anything. And one of the best things to do to start out, and the team should already have done this, is with your videos like Casey videos, Truth IQ, Guru, some really good ones out there, that the expectation should be they should watch all of them. So you take a segment on perio, you watch all the perio videos. The nice thing about these videos, they are geared to educate the non-dental personnel.
hmm
So you're educating a non-dental personnel and in a very, very efficient way. And a video can explain something better to a person than I can with pencils, papers, models. It's so much better. And they understand that. So it's efficient, fast training to the point. It teaches them the words to use, the correct phraseology with the patient. You know, you get out of dental school, you know, this French language called dental, and we can't talk to patients. We're talking, oh, you have gingiva, and I mean, they don't know what you're talking about. You need an amalgam, and they don't have a clue. And we have to reach to that talk. So by using these videos, these assistants are learning, or whoever are learning how to speak correctly to the patient. You know, back in my day, it was a pamphlet. So here, take like pamphlets, read them. And on the point of videos, the team should know what videos they have. You know, if you don't know what tools in your toolbox, you don't know what to reach for. So you should be aware of what tools you have. They should watch all the videos during team meetings, a section at a time, so you're aware of what to reach for.
Well,
but that's a great way to train.
That helps to cross-train them, right?
Chadwick, yeah, cross-training. here's what happens. Most offices fail to cross-train, and they wait until, heaven forbid, somebody gets hit by a bus or some tragedy, and now somebody has to fill in at the front office. And they're like, "Where's the phone?"
I don't know how to do this.
Or vice versa. So 100% of every employee needs to be taught how to do the basics. And again, everything starts in the team meeting. This is what team meeting is about. Team meetings are not about problems. Team meetings are run with an agenda, you know, plan in advance, topics in advance, and so you train the agenda. So, I mean, according to the agenda, team meetings, so every employee needs to be cross-trained in the basics. For example, every employee in the office needs to understand how to answer the phone correctly, what to say, know what basic questions to ask for an emergency and a comprehensive exam patient, and what to tell them. And you can have little cheat sheets how to do this, you know, laminated around the office. And every person should also know how to take a payment, generate a receipt, schedule an appointment. Those are basic front office things. Now in the back, it depends on the state laws and sharps and you know, the bloodborne pathogens. Some states, everybody has to take a little course and do something before they can sterilize the room and handle contaminated stuff. But even around that, they can still go in and empty the trash and help set up a sterile room. You know, there are some other things they can do. But usually we get everybody cross-trained in all the basics. So if we're short in the back, they can come in and turn a room and set it up. And at the end of the day, I believe, because we're a team, everybody leaves the office about the same time if we can. Now, I know at the morning huddle, Betsy may say, well, I really want to leave as soon as I can because my little Johnny has a baseball game. And fine, we get that. Go. Just get out of here. Go as soon as you can. Well, beyond that, I like to see, back when we had paper charts, I'd see the assistants helping file charts at the end of the day, or I'd see the front office back emptying the trash. The goal is everybody walks out the door at the same time because we're our team. We have our specialty areas, of course, but when you finish a specialty area, you go look, how can you help other people? Talk to them, how can you help other people? So, you know, cross-training, you don't want to wait until somebody hits by a bus, because that's learning by fire, fire hose. You know, you don't want to do it that way. Everybody should know the basics in all areas.
Right. No, and that's you guys. Dr. Mosier has written our latest blog on team meeting protocols and the ground rules of these team meetings and how to establish these things into your practice. And I mean, these are some simple things, but these are the difference between making your practice phenomenal. And that's what's so powerful about Dr. Mark's things. The difference between good practices, and we work with a lot of good practices, but we work with a sliver of exceptional practices. And the difference, if you want my opinion, is the exceptional practices have the basics mastered. And that's the difference, right?
I have 3 comments. A very successful practice. I compare it to high school football. You can do the basics really, really, really well. It's not trick plays and NFL plays. You do the basics really well. And the basics are things that come in the door every day. It's not sleep apnea and Invisalign and the things that are great. Those are what I call glamour dentistry. Glamour dentistry are things that don't come in the door every day. But the bread and butter dentistry, you got the basics down really, really well. You know, the basics. You're amazingly successful. And there's two things that I see in every exceptional practice. Now when I think exceptional practice, I think top 1%.
Wow.
That may sound like not very many, but that's quite a few practices, but still it's top 1%. Exceptional practices always have two things in common. They have long-term employees. And the reason they have long-term employees is not because of the pay, it's because of how they're treated. They are treated special, like mentioned again earlier, the Hawthorne effect, and they're valued and appreciated. And the second thing I see are correctly designed and run team meetings at the correct frequency and length. They're doing them often enough, and that is so common. I've never seen even a moderately good practice that didn't have good team meetings.
Yeah,
that's where the rubber meets the road. That's the foundation for any goal, any improvement, anything you want to roll out. It is based around a correctly designed, at the right frequency and the right timing team meeting.
and I can't emphasize for those practices who have small teams and even large teams. That is Dr. Mosier's last tip of the day. Not that he doesn't have more, but but that's the tip: is long-term culture-enriched team members who will stay with the practice for a long time, and then properly run, proper length, and then proper culture of these team meetings that you can use to train and to do these things. This has been part 2 of Dr. Mosier's presentation. So if you're loving this but didn't hear part 1, please go back in our library and listen to part 1 because it's powerful. And when you get these two pieces together, your culture of your practice is going to explode. So again, remember, Dr. Mark Mosier, his content is on our blog. You can jump on our blog and get a ton of content from him. He is a wealth of knowledge. Just please visit getblueiq.com/authors/M.Mosier, or you can just go right to our blog and search for him, and you can't go wrong. You can use these for your team training and team meetings. It has been an absolute pleasure, Dr. Mosier. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thanks, Dr. Frogley. Really appreciate your time.
We wish you all a very happy safe Memorial Day weekend. Please be safe out there and enjoy. Get a little time off, recharge the batteries. Come back next week ready to dominate. Remember, we are in the blue. We are here every Friday live, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. Grateful to have you with us. Remember, BlueIQ, tools of scalability. We hope and pray your practices thrive and grow. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.